GM. GM. Today is Sunday. Forgot to do the intro. Okay. Pause.
By becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
You
can wake up every morning and say GM.
GM. Thought I'd do a blooper reel. So, Sunday and markets moving pretty much as expected for the weekend so far. Bitcoin compressing below the 4-hour bands. I drew this rough squiggle out last night just to indicate what can often happen on a weekend. I don't think it has to go down. What you want to see though is BTC moving up here. I think it's going to do that no matter what. And then if it retraces that move, I'm expecting a move down further. And that may well just lead to yet another continuation, and this thing might unwind. If it's not going to, then what you want to see is a change of the character of the move. So in these downtrends, you see something like this, which is very similar to this move. Bounces off the lows, compresses, moves up into the bands, moves up into the bands. However, each time it goes lower, a local bottom becomes more likely if there are signs, like there are, of some volume divergences. Obviously, with each push, the sell momentum will weaken unless something comes in to pick it up. So I'm looking at BTC and thinking, are we going to have a relief week? Which is all I think it would be. As we go towards the big options expiry on Friday, I'm going to talk a lot more about this in Weekly Outlook. I've got a big Weekly Outlook lined up, really good one. And I just look at it and think, will the market find relief here? Or is it actually just still in a steady decline that has to continue further? Because most of the bull case for the next week or so is like presidential debates and ETH ETF progression, which doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin. Presidential debate slightly, but I don't think that this week is going to be huge in terms of crypto for the debates. I think it'll bring the debates into center stage and might be good for some of the political coins, Bidens and Trumps. I don't know. Are they going to get into crypto on the debate itself? Maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that now is the wrong time to be getting too bearish from a higher time frame view, because my first expectation would still be that we can be forming a bottom here. But for that to happen, at a minimum, there needs to be a rally up, a pullback, and a higher low forward. It's taken us 3 weeks to pull back here, or 2 weeks, sorry, I should say, exactly 2 weeks. 2 weeks to come down. There's going to be some kind of bottoming process before it goes back up, and I would expect probably another week or 10 days. Once we get into July, we might actually start to see price flipping back above if it's going to be bullish. But that bull case is not very clear, to be honest. Like, there's plenty of reasons to go lower. Most people are underlying their idea of this market having to recover based just on ETH and an ETH ETF. I think that's a bit misguided, because the expectation for an ETH ETF is going to be the expectation for ETH ETF is going to be that it has to go up right away, or that somehow we're going to get massive inflows, but it doesn't really make sense to me. I think that the Bitcoin demand is going to be reflected in the ETH demand. And when Bitcoin first launched, there was obviously a lot of demand. But right now, there's lower demand on BTC. And if ETH launched today, I would just see that as the same thing. I would say, well, just like the way that gold and silver tend to move pretty correlated, just like the way that stock market, right, NASDAQ and S&P, one will always be leading, but they'll always move together. That's how TradFi view it. If TradFi are risk on, they're going to buy some NASDAQ and some S&P if they're trading on the futures or on the ETFs. If TradFi are into metals, they're going to buy gold and silver. Sometimes silver will lead, sometimes gold will lead, but they both broadly go up and down together. And I think once the ETF for Ethereum launches, it'll be the same thing. I don't think you're going to see a world in which Bitcoin has outflows and ETH has inflows consistently, or the other way around. I think it will be basically, are we risk on for crypto or are we not? Like, are we buying crypto or are we selling crypto? And so, we have to go back to January and see where ETH was. Like when the Bitcoin ETF launched, ETH was over here. And when you look at Bitcoin, it had its first big ETF inflow wave, and Ethereum doubled in price, pretty much. Went from about 2K, about 2,200 to just over 4. So it's not as if Ethereum hasn't had any move. It's benefited massively from the Bitcoin ETF run. People look at it because Solana outperformed and blah, blah, blah. But like, Ethereum's up far more. Ethereum's added more market cap than Solana. Like, in a 50% move, Ethereum adds more market cap than the entire market cap of Solana. In a 30% move, Ethereum adds more of the market cap than Solana. So, I think people underestimate how much Ethereum actually has gone up, just in raw market cap terms, just because it's been outperformed on a percentage basis by something like Solana, which is just way smaller. So I don't think ETH has to moon from here. I don't see why this couldn't be. Like, again, I wouldn't be overly bearish. I wouldn't be bullish. I don't think there's any point being overly bullish until the bands flip again. That would be a clear indication that, we're at least attempting to get back into a bullish market. Now, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes, bands go green again, and it's just a part of this consolidation, which I would keep you very mindful of, right? Just like over here, when Ethereum pushed back above, if it's not able to break from that range it's in, right? If it's not able to actually cleanly break above, then watch out below, because there's plenty of room for it to go below. And what if the first week or two of ETH launching, ETH launches early July, there's a couple of weeks of selling, maybe some grayscale selling, maybe just some dumping of the, the trade side of it. And then it bottoms out there, and then it goes up from there. Like, that would not surprise. I can absolutely see how it can push up, maybe as a trap, push below as a trap. So trap the bulls first, trap the bears second, and then away we go. And that's like a bull scenario for me, because there's a bear scenario for Bitcoin, which I'll lay out on Weekly Outlook, where Bitcoin can go down into the 40s. Now, I wouldn't say it's super high probability until certain levels break. But we're by no means in a market where there can't be deeper corrections. And it would depend on the stock market, right? If the stock market, we're getting into July now soon, and stocks always have, I've shown this, stocks always have, at least for the last 25 years, since 2000, they always have red months during an election year. Sometimes, like 2000 and 2008, it's an actual crash. I don't think we're going to have that. But even in the other years, 04, 2012, 16, 20, we have sideways. We have periods of, and when I say sideways, it's like this, it's going up, but then it has that for a few months. And that's one or two decent pullbacks within a year. And if the stock market does pull back and correct further, crypto will probably get dragged down too, because crypto's been lagging it so far. And, I think that There are huge positives and big bull cases for crypto ahead, but it doesn't have to be like imminent. We can have more of a slow bleed. When price comes into these inefficiencies, so it had the big move up, and when price starts to fill those in, it can tend to complete that before it makes its way further on. You can see this over and over. I know people say, oh, well, this is the ETF, it's different. I don't really agree, because you look at this and think, oh, that impulse was the ETH ETF getting priced in again. And yes, in that candle it was. But also, as soon as Bitcoin's ETF actually got approved, which was around the 8th or 9th of January, when an actual approval came and we knew for sure, ETH's ETF was already being priced in to a certain extent, but then this rally was absolutely pricing in the ETH ETF. So for all of this rally, the market was certain the ETH ETF was coming. Then we pulled back and it started to look worse, and it started to look really unlikely. In these 2 months, the SEC were not talking to the issuers. There was a lot of pessimism. So everything from 2K to 4K was a real pricing in. To then have that pump up, that's fine. But if you say it broadly, it's still priced in to a large extent. We can still go back to there and then go higher. You know, it wouldn't break structure. It would just be ETH remaining within a higher time frame consolidation. And, you know, it wouldn't be that crazy to think. You also get these tricky phases, and it happens plenty of the time, where the market moves up, you know, and say even like here, where Ethereum had a move up into the highs, dropped back, had an initial consolidation here, where it looked like there was a bottom forming, and it went one push lower and bottom formed there. And you see this, you know, over and over again throughout the charts, throughout history of all coins, all assets, not just Ethereum, but happens on BTC as well. You can see old examples of Bitcoin where it sets an inefficiency, and then it comes back, looks like it's going to hold, and then has one push lower, or comes back again into that level. So see an example here. You know, the most, like, this is a bearish example, but people thought there was a bottom forming here, and then it dropped down, and then they said, oh, well, we've retested this level, that's now holding. And then it pushed lower again, and then it rallied, and people are, oh, well, that's definitely it now, it's definitely holding. And then it collapsed through COVID all the way down into the very last part of the inefficiency and filled the entire thing in. And no one thought that could happen, but it did. Obviously, COVID happened for that to occur, so it doesn't mean that you have to see the same thing again. There's plenty of examples where it doesn't go all the way back down. Like here, there was a inefficiency that needed to be filled all the way down to there on Bitcoin, and the dip only went that low. You know, came back down for a retest of that level. So the key point being, you see here, it comes off the highs, looks like a support's forming, has a push lower, and then that's the bottom. So for BTC, you know, it's trying to form a bottom, and it's doing a good job of that so far. But we're probably a week or two away from really being able to confirm that, because it is currently in a steady downtrend, which can lead to a further collapse. You have structure levels on BTC that need to be broken. So a bullish structure break happens over here. That's the last daily green candle, 66.7. Bitcoin breaks above that with a daily close and holds. That's when it truly shifts back to where you'd say the next dip should be a higher low, right? If it closes up here, you'd expect the next dip to be higher low. Anything below that, BTC can go to here and still be in a bearish structure. So low time frame reasons for, you know, higher time frame reasons for optimism, I would say, and lower time frame reasons for caution, because when it's actually declining, it can continue to decline. And if you saw even a fast capitulation where price dropped significantly lower really quickly and then had a big retracement and rally and then formed a base and consolidated there, that would be short term very bloody. Long term, you could be back at this level within 2 or 3 weeks or a month. And if you zoom out, not much has changed. But in the interim, in the meantime, people will have gotten wrecked just by bad positioning. And it's not like Bitcoin doesn't do this. Bitcoin has these type of moves where it dips way lower than you think it can and comes all the way back. or even over here, oh, that should hold, and then it collapses all the way down, but it only comes back into support. So even over here, right? Oh, that's a rock solid level. It dips below it first. So, I'm cautious myself currently. Cautious on the lower time frames. And overall, everything else I'll cover on daily levels. Or not daily levels, so this is daily levels. Weekly outlook. So I'll be dropping that one later. I'll do it live. See you then. Got some good things lined up for that. GM. And trade of the day, I'll take a look at Bowden and Pepe again as a couple of coins that I'm tracking for potential trades. And we'll see how that's going to line up.